Hello and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to be at the top of a pyramid like Scentsy's pyramid, which is an MLM, multi-level marketing company, network marketing, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to tell you in this video.
Well, this should be good.
A subscriber of mine, you know who you are. Thank you so much for sending this my way. I appreciate it. You're helping get the word out about what's really going on at the top of these pyramid schemes. In my opinion, they're pyramid schemes. This was sent to me by a subscriber who was at the top of Scentsy. She was a superstar director. That is the very highest rank you can achieve within Scentsy. And it shines a light on what's really going on. And it was kind of hard for me to look at and see certain people that I know and I looked up to when I was in Scentsy saying the things that they were saying, and also hard to see in the same sense those people, some of those people feeling the same way but not feeling comfortable with voicing their opinions like this individual felt comfortable. So this is going to be an MLM horror stories video. We're gonna get right into it. It's not gonna be a very long video, but first we need a disclaimer.
Like it's really nobody code is this, and if you disagree, then you jaws and your claim get audited. Who you know do the beating and talking and write the harmonies. I'm really convinced there's nobody out here going hard as me. Wish well the dog that claim belief in me so he could use me. Look at me now, you chose your route. I know you sick to see.
Okay, now that that is out of the way, we have one more piece of housekeeping. If you are not new here, you knew this was coming, and you also know that you can skip right ahead to the actual meat and potatoes of the video. Here at the bottom of the screen, it will probably say horror story starts here. You can skip there, but if you are new here, please give this a listen at least one time. I do not blur the faces or the names of the individuals that I include in my videos. This does not mean that I am encouraging anybody to go and seek these individuals out and send them hateful messages or mean comments. I'm also not inciting hate toward these individuals in any way, shape, or form. My content is always meant to be educational, but most of all, entertaining. So let's all do our part and keep it that way, and with that, we're gonna get the into it. So this is coming from an individual, like I said, who was at the top of Scentsy. She was a superstar director. She sent this to me. This is a whole exchange that happened within a superstar director Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group that only superstar directors and like the C-suite people of Scentsy are allowed to join. She was voicing her concerns about something, and I'm gonna read it all out to you. I'm gonna show you the screen as I'm reading it so that you can also visualize things if you are a visual person. So let's get into it. So she went onto the Facebook page and she made this post. She said, "Can I address something that I think is super discriminatory towards superstar directors in particular? I have spent 4 years giving to their community," meaning Scentsy's community. "I have held numerous free courses to thousands of consultants to help them in their business, which puts money in their pockets, not mine." And I want to clarify that. When you are a top leader within Scentsy, when you're excelling at sales or especially recruiting, they will ask you to present at different things like World Tour, which I've talked about in the past. I don't know if it's called World Tour anymore. I forget what it's called. It used to be called Spring Sprint, but it's kind of like a mini convention where they go to different states and cities, and those people in the area that are within Scentsy will go and get the training, quote unquote, and do the sessions and get the different swag that they provide. And there's also Scentsy Family Reunion, which I've also discussed in the past. That is their big convention where it's held in like a major city. This past year it was in Charlotte, and a lot of the Scentsy consultants and their guests are in attendance at those specific places. And this goes on for about 3 to 4 days. And within those 3 to 4 days, aside from the big major sessions that the home office is putting on, they'll have trainings from superstar directors, from star directors, from directors, from star consultants, anybody that's in the upper part of the pyramid of the Scentsy multi-level marketing company. They will ask them to present at these places, and they don't get anything for this. They don't get compensated, nothing. And like she said, she's speaking to other people's teams, so it's not going to benefit her to speak at all, really. So that's what she means by that. I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. So then she goes on to say, "Don't even get me started on how much value we bring to them and how much money we make them unsolicited and free of charge because of their standards." So at that point, she's talking about Scentsy. And this is what anybody in the anti-MLM community Scentsy will say is like, you're putting in so much work for free and you're not getting compensated for it, but you're making so much money for Scentsy, especially because when you're a consultant, you're the number one customer. So they're retaining you as a customer, as well as you spreading the word to your quote unquote customers to make a penny or two.
I'm here to deliver a hard truth.
But anyway, she goes on and says, I did those things from the goodness of my heart, not to gain some following to use to my leverage. The day I started helping the other consultants build their business simply because I enjoyed doing it was the day I doomed myself and started resenting my Scentsy business. I unintentionally gained a following to which I have no idea how to tell who is a consultant and who is not anymore. I actually took my friends list down from 4,500 people to 700 for the below incident. And I can relate to that. When I left Scentsy, my friend list shrunk so much because of the amount of people that were just friends with me because of the community that I bought into. It started with some random sour follower who is a consultant flagging my stories left and right because I shared a video with my baby's butt in it. My Facebook account was then suspended for over a month and I could not work my Scentsy business through social media because of it. And this shines a light on how petty the actual quote unquote community of consultants is in any MLM. This goes for any MLM. Like I said, I've been in 3 MLMs, 4-ish, if you want to include Scentsy's sister company that is no longer. But if you're doing better than somebody else, or if you're getting more presenting opportunities than somebody else, they will shit on you. They will look for anything they can find to make sure they're going to knock you down. And that is exactly what happened in this situation. So then she goes on to say, fine, whatever. I understand people will be people. To pivot, I adapted Project Broadcast and Squee into my business so I could work my business off of social media and deleted 3,000 consultants from my social media. I didn't want a quote unquote Scentsy following anymore. Not if it was going to jeopardize me trying to run my own Scentsy business. Things were finally going smooth again, how they were pre my unintentional Scentsy following started and after I went on my deleting spree. Fast forward 3 months after, I assumed I cleared out most of my unintentional following of consultants I gained. I am now being threatened to have my account terminated by compliance if I do not terminate one of my other businesses that is completely unrelated to Scentsy because they believe I am cross-promoting and won't even show me where I am doing so or allowing me to correct it. I have never reached out intentionally to anyone that I know is a consultant. Hell, I haven't reached out to anyone intentionally about my side gig because of Scentsy's standard and how gray and one-sided they are. My family has businesses that we opened at the same time I decided to start my Scentsy business also. Why? Because we went through bankruptcy a while back and we learned that having one source of income is the most financially stupid thing you could ever do. So we set out to create organic and separate streams of income. Every source of income we have has nothing to do with one another. So why do I feel so restricted? Why is my only option to terminate one of my side gigs for quote unquote cross promoting, even after I agreed that I would delete every consultant that I am aware of? I have 500 friends now on my private Facebook page. 500. If that doesn't show you my intentions are true, then I don't know what will. If I go back and never do a training for other consultants out of the goodness of my heart and passion for helping others, I would go back in a heartbeat and say, no thanks. A lot of you know me and have met me because my why in the industry was actually to help others succeed. That was the fuel for me. A lot of you know me because I have probably done trainings for your teams, guest spoke for your teams, put together courses for your teams. There was always a spot at my table. My arms were always open wide. You probably know me for how passionate I was about my Scentsy business. And some of you might have noticed that spark has died out. This is why. Because of the gray, inconsistent, one-sided gray areas that superstar directors are being affected by the most. And it's so true. You can go back and look at my Scentsy deep dive as well as any deep dive I've done. And the terms and conditions in certain areas, like if you do have a business, like a family-owned business, they are so gray. You don't know what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. And they word it in a way that they can terminate you no matter what. and not get in trouble. And that is why it's so problematic in this sense. I see directors and above left and right creating side gigs to support their families, especially in today's economy. Their gigs are unrelated to what Scentsy sells. There is never Scentsy and another business being advertised in the same post. They never look to me as if they are cross-promoting and actively reaching out to their consultant friends. So what is the issue, truly? Aren't there much bigger things to worry about in a business whose numbers are receding? That dip is happening, remember?
I love dip.
That is not what she meant.
It's not the economy. Things aren't the same as they used to be. There needs to be clarity. There's no consistent communication. We deserve to be treated with more respect. I truly thought Scentsy was better than this. I hope that they listen to us because right now I'm feeling like I have my hands tied behind my back by a shark who has no business messing with a minnow just because they're a shark. So the individual that actually posted this then commented underneath and she said, okay, so let's redirect this to be productive since I am apparently not alone in my feelings, because as you'll see as we go through a few of the comments, people are feeling the same way. They're just not able to voice it like this individual was able to voice it. Whether it's they don't feel comfortable or they just don't know the words, how to put into words what they're feeling. So she says, okay, so let's redirect this to be productive since I am apparently not alone in my feelings. As superstar directors, what can we do to come together? Let's stop talking and let's start taking action. We need some ideas and solutions. One of the tippity top leaders commented on this comment that the original poster left, and she said, a small group on Zoom with compliance. A few years ago, there was a Zoom with Chuck, who is the CEO's brother. He does a lot of the behind the scenes work, and a handful of us were on to advocate for affiliate links, sharing discount codes, do's, don'ts with supporting other businesses. Unfortunately, nothing official ever came of the discussion. Of course not. Why would it? So the OP then says, did anyone follow up after the discussion? I feel like this needs to be stayed on top of if we want to see change and at the least consistency and clarity. More black and white. Somebody else chimed in and said, I was on that call or a similar call regarding social media. They said they would have a follow-up Zoom, but nothing ever came of it. Original poster says, we need to stay on top of this. They won't. That is clear. Now I'm going to put the recording of all of the comments that are on this post as I'm going through them. I'm not going to read every single one. I just don't feel like it's necessary, but I will read the ones that I think highlight the points that we really want to touch on and really shine a light on to, again, show what's happening at the top of all MLMs, but in this specific situation, Scentsy. Now, somebody else chimed in who I remember from when I was in Scentsy. She joined after me and like very quickly made it to the tippy top of Scentsy. And she says, nothing ever comes of those calls. I've been on countless of them and I've come to determine they are to pacify us, make us think there is progress being worked toward, not to actually do anything about the situations. Now, I also do want to point out that while I don't specifically, like I said in the beginning of this video, blur faces or names when I'm reacting to certain things, because of this coming from a private superstar director group, I am going to go ahead and blur out the names of the people who are commenting, and that's just, I don't want to get the original poster into trouble in any way, so I'm going to make sure those are redacted. So this comment is coming from another higher up who has appeared in some of my reaction videos. She says, sigh, it's so true. It's hard to have the energy even here to start the 13-year quote conversation again. This is somebody who continues to be at the top of the pyramid, put on these trainings that I am currently reacting to, and she feels this way also. She's stressed out about the C-suite, the home office, not doing the things that they say they're going to do, or the conditions, the terms and conditions, the policies all being gray and not black and white, but she's still stuck. And that goes to show how much these individuals start to rely on the income that they're making at the top 1% of the pyramid, and they're not comfortable speaking out and saying how they actually feel to the higher ups within Scentsy. Now, this is a separate reply from somebody else at the top of the pyramid. She says, I totally find it scary. I also own land. We do mostly grain, but we also do hay for sale. I never post about hay because of those rules, because someone explained to me how hay and Scentsy could be seen as cross-promoting.
Hay stacking, hay throwing.
So this individual has a business where she owns land and she produces grain and hay for people and sells it. That has nothing to do with Scentsy, but because the area is so gray, if she posts about her hay being for sale on her Facebook page, she could potentially get in trouble and also could potentially get terminated. And because of that, her actual business is suffering. It's not reaching as many people as it possibly could be because she's afraid to post about it on her own fucking social media page. That should tell you a lot. So somebody else who already commented replied to this comment and said, how it was explained to me is Scentsy owns those contacts. So like I've went through in my deep dives, most, if not all MLM companies have a little blip in their contract that you signed that a lot of people don't read. This is the fine print, that when you sign up to be a consultant with that company and you promote that company's products on your social media account, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is, they basically own that account for at least, the minimum I've seen is for the next 1 year after you leave said company. So that's what she's referring to there. Whether they are consultant friends you've made through Scentsy or customers you've known since childhood and happen to have bought a scent circle from you 10 years ago, they own that person now. And they view any expendable income that person has as a potential Scentsy sale. So whether the other thing you offer, like your hay, is related or in competition with or not, if that person has money to spend, Scentsy wants every opportunity that it go to them, not whatever else you have to offer. Now, if what you had was another direct sales company / product, I'd agree, but a homegrown small business of hay, etc., no, 100,000% no. And I can't agree with her more. And I was actually happy to see her name. Like I said, her name is blurred out, but I know of this individual. I saw her shoot up to the top of the pyramid, like I said, and she is somebody who has an income on the side. She has something else on the side. So this is of concern to her as well as everybody else voicing their concern. But I was happy to see her voicing her opinions, at least in the group. She is still very much within Scentsy, as are many of the people who are commenting on this post, but it's always good to see those people starting to see the light, and hopefully at some point they'll see it enough to just get out. Okay, so somebody replied to this reply and she says, the way that I have always understood it was this: met someone through your Scentsy business equals off limits for you to approach about things other than Scentsy. Know someone prior to Scentsy or randomly after Scentsy equals you may approach with other ventures, tangibles, etc. If I sold shoes, I could not approach you to buy them from me because we only know each other because of Scentsy. However, I could approach so-and-so because I had a relationship with her prior to Scentsy. I will get this clarification again though. But at the same time, how are you going to prove that to them? If it's a relationship through social media, you're conversing through social media about, say the person is conversing about hay through social media and they claim that that person is not a contact made through Scentsy, how the are they going to prove that? If it's somebody who they knew way before Scentsy and they have purchased Scentsy, isn't that automatically going to make them look like the bad guy and be like, oh, well, you know them through Scentsy? These are all questions that Scentsy corporate does not answer. And this is proving that, because not only are these individuals saying they don't know, even though they're at the top of the company, they're at the top of the pyramid, they can't get the answers no matter how many times they ask. And it's been years of them asking. They were asking these questions when I was in. And that was I left in 2018. It is 2024 and they still don't know the answers. Does Scentsy even know the fucking answers?
That seems unlikely.
So then the other person comments back and says, okay, but I could not post on my personal Facebook page about me selling hay since I have customers and consultants as friends. That is what is bothering me, I guess. So the person who provided the quote unquote explanation then says you could if you had them in a distribution list. I have 2 lists, not Scentsy and Scentsy. If I make a post that I don't want to share with those that I know only through my business, I filter them out. Okay, cool. But that shouldn't be a fucking thing. If you are promoting this as a business that you own, Scentsy is your business that you own, you started a business, then you should have the freedom to do the things that you want to do, whether it's posting about your hay business or even cross promoting, because it's your business. And then she says, compliance responded that my explanation was exactly correct. Okay, cool. But your explanation is still gray as luck. Because like I said, how are they going to know if you met this person through Scentsy or not? So then one of the other top leaders chimes in and says, then the actions taken over the years has told consultants and leaders otherwise. It is always stated that Scentsy holds sole discretion in regards to these matters as well, so I think it depends on who you are and who's calling you from compliance. Can't agree with that more. Cannot agree with that more. That is so true. There is a very high rate of favoritism within Scentsy, and don't let anybody tell you different. I was there, I saw it, and then this individual says, my stuff only comes from the top. I do not deal with anyone else in compliance. Ma'am, show us your receipts, right? She didn't show any receipts anywhere. She just said, yeah, I got clarification from compliance. I don't deal with anyone in compliance. Which is it? Did you get clarification from compliance, or do you not speak to anybody in compliance? And then she says, but the rest of us are forced to talk to regular compliance. Another individual said, what confuses me is that we offer this business as a side hustle. So that's false advertising then, since you're actually not allowed to do this and something else. I completely understand the direct sales company rule, but links, other family businesses that started before Scentsy came into our lives, etc., should be exempt from the rule. Educate on how to keep them separate instead of just canceling accounts. Bravo. So well said. This person says to the OP, girl, this has happened to us as well. We can't even sell tamales locally. What? I can't advertise my lash business. We can't do anything else besides Scentsy. I had 4,500 friends before Scentsy because I was a makeup artist and moved a lot. Now we're turned in for everything. Last Christmas, we had our account shut down for days because we shared something my sister made for us, and they said we had monetary gain by sharing what she made us. What? I'm sorry, what? What? This is a sad comment to the OP who just said that she had to unfriend all of the Scentsy people because she was afraid. She was afraid for her income. She says, I'm so sad. Clicked your name and no longer friends or connected. And crazy enough, we are real life friends, so this made me sad. Sad a company can make you legit choose income or friends. Sent you a PM. I'm gonna read one more reply. This is coming from somebody who I still to this day respect very much. She ended up replying to this individual who posted in the Superstar Director group, and she says, you hit the nail on so many heads. I hate when some consultants are getting a slap on the hand and they intentionally are doing wrong because they've learned how to get away with it or work the system. And consultants that have a clean slate get threatened with termination after something unintentional. From the outsider's point of view, it hurts my heart to see things unravel like this. Blank touched on some things that have really been bothering me too, i.e. being ghosted when asking questions. Things that we as leaders need to know to help us put out the fires on our team. Things are different, and I've been uneasy about my Scentsy business for years because of how compliance continues to pick and choose. I adore you, blank. You have a fire about you. Please don't ever change. What she put into words is exactly how I felt when I got my incentive trip taken away from me. I was short 500 points. I needed, I think it was 20,000 or 19,000, and I was short 500 points after they took it away from me for something that I proved that I didn't do. And I have a whole video on that. I'll link it in the description. But because I wasn't somebody who was higher up or who was well known, who was putting on these ridiculous trainings and such, I had no leg to stand on. I was screwed. So that is what it's like to be inside of a Scentsy Superstar Director Facebook group asking legitimate questions about your supposed legitimate business. I don't have a TikTok hates your MLM for us today. Because I have an announcement instead. I want to grow my channel a little bit more this year. I put myself at a big goal of 10,000 subscribers. So I know this is an overly ambitious goal for somebody who has a smaller YouTube channel like myself. But if you've been following me a little while, you know I push out quite a bit of content. And you may also know that this is what I do full time right now. I stay home with my kids and homeschool and run my YouTube channel. So I am blessed enough to do that. And I know that there's not a day that goes by where I'm not like, wow, this is kind of cool that I get to do this, that I'm able to do this. And so anyway, I, as you know, recently fell down the hole of Fortnite. With that, I also have been watching more streamers on Twitch, and the two streamers that have put this idea in my head are Ninja and Happy Gal. Happy is, first of all, I love her. My kids love her. She's a family-friendly stream, which might surprise you that I watch that, but she's awesome. And she recently did a challenge. So Ninja recently basically got dared to get a low taper fade. He's a dude, so it wasn't that big of a deal for him. So he did the low taper fade. I'll play the TikToks because there's TikToks to go along with this story.
Imagine if Ninja got a low taper fade. Imagine if Ninja got a low taper fade. Imagine if Ninja got a low taper fade. If Ninja got a low taper fade. Imagine if Ninja got a low taper fade.
So he recently got his low taper fade. After he did that, Happy said, if Ninja raids my stream, and if you're not familiar with a raid, this is when somebody's stream is over. You could do them on YouTube too. So if somebody's live stream is over, you can choose to have your viewers automatically get put into another person's stream, and that's what a raid is. So Ninja is like a huge streamer if you've never heard of him. And Happy said, if Ninja raids my stream in the next 5 days, I'm gonna get a low taper fade. Now, she didn't go all out and shave her whole head, but she got a low taper fade undercut. Looks super cute. And I've decided that even though I'm not a game streamer, I'm not a streamer, I'm a YouTube creator, I wanted to jump in on this challenge. And if I hit 10,000 subscribers by July 1st, I will get a low taper undercut. Okay, that's all I got for you. So keep watching my videos. That's how my videos get pushed to new people. So we'll see if this works. I'm super nervous. My palms are sweating. I wanted to do it for a while, so I figured why not make it fun and turn it into a challenge with my YouTube channel. So yay! Let's see if we can do it. We have about 6.5-ish months to put this challenge to the test. Think we can do it. And anyway, as always, thanks for hanging out with me while I talk a bunch of shit, and I will see you in the next one.
I got caught comparing me to people I don't even know. They say it's lonely at the top, well maybe then I'll focus on things that's more important and let whoever think whatever and just keep it moving. These niggas won't work on themselves, they'd rather see you losing. You'll never see me losing.